you're in a unique position because you're homeschooling your kids.
Mm-hmm.
And y'all been doing it for
2 years.
2 years?
Yeah.
So what have you seen that's been different in them since they transitioned from public schools to homeschooling?
Definitely like Avery's confidence has gone through the roof. She struggled a lot. She is a kid that if you give her a time frame on something, she shuts down, even though she will do it within that time frame in half that time frame. So she dealt with a lot of that in school. She dealt with a lot of bullying in school, mostly by boys. And so being at home, she's definitely more confident with herself. I've actually seen them be closer with each other. So in the when we were in public school, they got the worst of each other at the end of the day. They were exhausted. They didn't want to tolerate each other. So they're fighting and arguing and whatnot. And now they're like each other's built-in best friends. And so, I mean, there's times where if I have to go take a call, Avery will help Aiden with something, or Liam will help Avery with something. And so it's really helped them build their unit together. And Liam is my social butterfly. And it's funny because people will ask me, like, do you ever plan on putting them back in public school? I'm like, it's an option if they want. But even him being a social butterfly, he's like, I could go without it. Like, he gets more social activity outside of school than in school. Because he even hears from his friends, yeah, I see them in the hallway. I don't ever get to play with them. And so he's very much a kid. All three of my kids have looked at school as like work. Like that's their job. From the age of 5 till 18, that's their job. So they want to expedite that workforce as much as possible. Mm-hmm. And so they're the kids that sit down, do their work. Okay, now what else can I do? So they are definitely their grades. Liam, and Aiden have all A's. Avery had A pluses in almost every class. Avery took French and Russian. Liam took Spanish. They did Bible basics, things like that. So they've excelled in their weak points, and then they're way advanced in their strong points.
So how much time are you, because I think a lot of, myself included, it's like, yeah, it'd be great if we could do this on a single income and I was capable of teaching. But I think those two things are an inhibitor, right? Because a lot of people say, well, we need 2 incomes, and the person who would stay home, in no way could I teach my kids. So how much time are you guys actually spending at home doing the homeschooling? And B, do you consider whoever is, in charge of teaching, do you feel like you're a capable teacher? Good enough to be doing, do you feel qualified to teach Russian?
So there's my father-in-law knows Russian, but there's a lot of programs. Duolingo is an app that they use, and then their program teaches all the subject matters, and then they form sentences off of it. Qualifying, I always laugh at this because some public school teachers are like, you're not qualified to teach. I'm like, 200 of you just cheated on taking your state exam,
right.
So you have room to talk. But time, we are done within 2 hours. It's funny how, and I'm sure you see it being a teacher, how the allotment a time that you have for something shouldn't take you that long to do. If you could get a kid to sit down and focus, it shouldn't take that amount of time. And there's a lot of busy work. There's crowd control when it comes to public schooling. We don't deal with any of that. And then, so I am a full-time realtor. My husband works for the Austin Convention Center in IT. And so he telecommutes 1 day a week. And we typically start our day at 9 a.m. where they sit down and start doing their work. They are done by 11.
And they're learning through what medium?
So we learn, our math is through textbooks. So they're writing, it's through Math UC. Their science is through Apologia, so it's textbooks as well. Their English, we're basically reading and doing journal writing. So you learn so much just from reading.
From that, you learn a lot.
Yes, they have.
And from journaling.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so we'll create subjects and, they'll write in a journal. And then they're doing their language through apps and stuff. Yep. And then we also have a program called MIA Academy that will do all our biblical studies through. We do history through. So and it's all related based off of their grade level. And I have it where they have to get an 85%. Otherwise, they retake that class.
And when it comes to their evaluation, math is a yes or no, right? Math is pretty objective, obviously, and sometimes racist. But math is pretty objective, right?
Yes.
But when it comes to something, like advanced writing or things like that, where you're like, hey, maybe that's not necessarily my strong suit. Are you able to outsource any of that stuff?
Yes, there's tons of tutors and stuff.
Well,
like,
I mean, outsource the evaluation of it. Like, hey, I'm going to send you my 3 kids, whatever, their entries, and I want you to evaluate it as a professional.
yes.
Send it to Daryl
Right.
to evaluate.
That would not be wise.
Yeah.
For the English
he's only
part.
$5 an hour, so he's a
I would be
model.
paying you $5 an hour probably.
But to really develop them, maybe you're not the best at that. Like,
Right.
hey, I'm gonna teach them in the areas that I'm best at.
Yes.
But when it comes to the evaluation, maybe I would be doing them a disservice if
Right.
I'm the one. So is that type of service available to where
yes.
on down the line?
Yes. So like the program that we have, MIA Academy, they have MIA Prep once they get to 8th grade. And so, yes, there are actual professors that you submit your work, they grade it and send it back to you and stuff. And a lot of programs have that. So.
What's the name of that program?
MIA Academy.
MIA?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, there's plenty of that. There's tons of tutors where teachers that were teachers that want to get into tutor are also tutor on the side. They step in and help. There's a lot of them step in for dyslexia, things like that. Assistance that you're getting that you don't tend to get one-on-one in a public school environment.
And so you probably bought to them a core curriculum, right? And then maybe you added kind of the Bible element to it. So it really kind of allows you to truly customize what it is that you're doing for your kids.
Yes.
And then, as they get older, you're probably stepping out of your comfort zone a little bit,
Right.
Calc 2, physics, things like that. And so then I imagine it just changes.
Yeah. Luckily, my dad is a history buff and a science wizard.
Yeah.
And then my father-in-law, he's very great at English and foreign languages. So they step into
But those
it, so.
resources are out there. How much does it cost you?
Oh,
Like,
God,
how
that's
much
the
do you
funny thing
spend
when we
on
talk about,
homeschooling?
like, the vouchers and, like, $2,000 for homeschool. I'm like, that doesn't cover anything. So,
Yeah.
I say the program for each kid was, like, $500 was MIA Academy for each kid.
A year, a semester?
A year.
Okay.
And then, of course, we have their Chromebook. Well, we don't have Chromebooks. We have, like, different kind of books that we bought them, some sort of – my husband's IT. He figured that out. And then, all their textbooks and stuff. It's probably, I'd say, it's probably close to like $3,000 per kid.
Per year.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's such a valuable, this conversation, not just personally valuable for me, but it's such a roadblock for people that are disenchanted with the public route.
Mm-hmm.
They can't, charter school for whatever reason is not an answer. Private school, obviously not a reason, not a possibility for them because you're starting at $15,000 a year in a lot of cases. Charter school, they're still on the wait list. So homeschool is attractive, but the roadblocks being, well, I don't have the time.
Mm-hmm.
We're both full time. I don't know where to start.
Yeah.
That's a lot of it.
And it can
People
be really
don't know where to
overwhelming.
start, and they don't
And
know
that
where
was,
to,
I think the first year was that for me. And luckily I have a great group of people around me, which I could put you in touch with, that they were like, they've been doing it for years. Like, this is what you need to do. Just get to the basics of it, And so the first year was finding our routine and whatnot. But I have several friends where both of the parents work in 8 to 5, and they like, okay, we're going to do your homeschooling when we get off of work.
Yep.
And so, or we're going to do it on the weekends. And so that is one thing that's beautiful about homeschooling. I have one that they travel all the time. And so like they went to Sweden. And so they're like, we're going to buckle down and do work now and then take off for 3 weeks and come back and do our work again. So it allows you the flexibility of getting their education in, and you find like it's the little amount of it makes such an impact on them. So
they're wrapped up by lunch every
Yeah.
day. What are they doing the rest of the day?
they're making their own lunch.
For starters.
So
They're quite good at cooking at
it's
this
home
point. so-
ec. And then typically like Avery, she's involved in a homeschool volleyball league. So she has her final game today. So she has practice on Thursdays in the middle of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Then she'll start her summer league where she'll have practices 2 days a week. Aiden does football training with his quarterback trainer. So he'll go to Crunch where he's getting his PE credits as well. And he'll go with his trainer and stuff. Aiden is involved in jiu-jitsu, and so they'll do that during the day as well. And there's a lot of programs out there like jiu-jitsu. There's one called Dino in San Marcos, very homeschool-based. They know because they got to be open so many hours, they will open their gym for homeschool kids for free. I think it's on Fridays.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of places to do where you could get your social activities, your PE credits and whatnot like that. And getting your kids out of the house. But we do a lot of meetups. So Tuesdays we get together with a group of people where our kids are all the same age. We'll go to the river and go swim. We'll go to a park. We'll go to
Because that never sucks. Being able to
Right.
go do it. See, and students would have to skip school to do that.
Right.
So, like, what your kids are getting to experience, was not the way it used to be.